Go for it.
Aloha snack bar, everyone. It's the one, the only majestic ape, Senor Silverback, back on another edition with the main man who is the master of the flux capacitor, the czar of the lithium crystals, the one and only CJ, and we're here for another morning edition of Rogue Money in the Morning. With that being said, guys, check us out on Twitter. Follow us there at the Rogue Money. Check us out on Facebook, the Rogue Money Facebook page, as well as the main site, roguemoney.net, which is right now in the chrysalis, about to emerge as its newest version, which will be incredible and dynamic and fresh. Wait till you guys see it. With that being said, guys, also check out our sponsors. If you're being hunted, if the creditors have bloodhounds on you and they're tracking you down and you are being hunted, well, it's time, and you're worried about your debt, you're worried about somebody's going to hold you for ransom or your kids ransom because you got to pay a credit card bill, and you're stressed out and you feel there's nowhere out, check out my guys over at myfreedomnow.us. Go to myfreedomnow.us and you can possibly even book a call with yours truly, myfreedomnow.us, where they kick the bankers in the nuts. With that being said, CJ, what's crack-a-lackin'?
Hey, good morning, V. How are you?
I'm fired up, man. Got my bulletproof coffee on. Hey, dude, check this out, bro. Yeah. I just found out one of my buddies, we used to train in the gym together years ago, right? Former New York City cop. Two of my cop friends. One of them I just found out yesterday he got arrested for a quadruple homicide.
What?
And my other cop buddy, was connected to this. They were dirty cops. I had no freaking clue.
Isn't that crazy?
I had no freaking clue. And my other cop buddy, he was what was he doing? Yeah, the FBI was tailing him. He pulled over and blew his brains out.
Wow.
Right on the side of the road. Guy had like 4 fucking kids.
Isn't that crazy?
Unbelievable. Excuse me for cursing, but I'm still in shock, man. And these guys are like upstanding guys in the community. I'm like, what in the world?
Right. Well, unfortunately, when we live in the last 8 years, V, what was created, I'm not excusing their behavior at all, but what I'm saying is that the last 8 years we've had a lawless society. Mm-hmm. And that's the culture that's created, and that's what most people don't understand, is that when we don't have legal immigration monitored, when we don't prosecute criminal banksters, when we don't prosecute people that utilize the IRS to target political opponents, it creates a culture. It creates a culture that if everyone else is doing it and get away with it, why can't I?
Exactly, man. I mean, it's so bad that it was. I mean, these guys were hooked on pain pills and whatnot. I had no. Again, I haven't talked to these guys in years. This was back in the days. I just found out. But the guy killed 4 of these Hispanic dudes, and he buried them in his backyard with a backhoe.
I'm glad you were on his good side, V.
I'm like, holy crap. I mean, this guy runs like animal rescues. He's like, out there saving puppies, and he's just got arraigned on a quadruple homicide. I'm like, what in the world? Anyway, speaking of getting busted, what's going on in Slovenia, man? Home of the First Lady.
We're going to see more of this, and apparently there was a major pedophile ring that was operating there, targeting young girls in chat rooms. And that's a lot of the times what these pedophiles do. They'll go into these rooms that are targeted for teens. And that's why some of those things are just, so dangerous, especially if you have kids at home, to monitor, what they're doing. Yeah. So they arrested 17 people throughout Slovenia in regards to contacting, young girls online, trying to set up meetings to meet with them. So they confiscated several computers, hard drives.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, at this point, hopefully they didn't scare them off and running, because it looks like there was no one detained. There was no one arrested or detained. But hopefully, with the forensics of going through that software, hardware, that they uncover maybe something larger that's happening there in Slovenia.
Right, and people need to understand one thing about Slovenia. Slovenia is a transit destination. Okay, it is one of the biggest hubs of, of human trafficking. All right, and all that trafficking that is in Slovenia, guess where it's coming out of, CJ?
Where?
Ukraine.
Go figure.
Think about that for a second, huh?
Yeah,
Ukraine. Absolutely. And it serves also to get trafficked children out of Syria as well, man. It's a major hub in Eastern Europe. So for this to all of a sudden happen, come on, it is
Right.
not coincidence, bro. It is not coincidence.
No, it's not coincidence. It's one of those repeated behaviors that happens all the time when NATO and the UN get involved in these conflicts and these things. That it happens everywhere, and unfortunately, the UN just completely sweeps it, under the rug in terms of what's happening, and it happens a lot in those society. Think about it. War-torn areas, kids that end up with no parents at all. They can't locate things. So what happens? So they put up this disguise that, oh, we're gonna help these kids, and boom, before you know it, they're sold into the sex trafficking industry.
You mean like missionaries in Haiti?
Oh, exactly. That's a perfect example.
Exactly,
Perfect
bro.
example.
Exactly. With that being said, man, potential 3 investigations on Trump that revealed absolutely zippity nothing.
Yeah, so this was breaking last night. Sean Hannity did an amazing interview with Sarah Carter, who's a national security correspondent, with Fox News, and she really broke it down to completely reveal what had happened. And one of the interesting things that came through this feed was that the initial monitoring, if you will, of the server of Trump Towers, the server was not located in Trump Towers. This was actually, probably a remote server that managed their data, what all those kinds of things. But long story short, guess who ordered this surveillance on this server?
I give up. Was it Obama?
There was no visa needed for this. It was the FBI that did it.
Whoa.
So this was the FBI. Yes, the FBI. They quote unquote followed normal procedures, which, if you think about it, back in that time period, Loretta Lynch, probably would have had to sign off and authorize, that, as well as Comey, that potential investigation. Yeah, so they were, they were looking at the potential of any interference between, they kept trying to push this Russia, U.S. deal, hacking, alleging that Trump and the Russians were in collusion with the election. So through this, so now we have 2 instances of spying that Trump was actually proven right. There were 2 proven instances of spying on Trump, and this is prior and leading up to the elections, and of which with the FBI doing that and going in, it's no wonder that Comey's coming out and saying in the press, disregard what Trump is saying, right. because they're in trouble. This information is going to come out. And here's the thing that really irritates me the most, V, is that, they had this monitoring, Trump since October. And with this data with this investigation, there was no proven connection between Trump and the Russians. But what did the MSM come around, and they continue to push this whole time? This
Russia narrative.
This whole fake narrative. We knew that they knew this the whole time, that this was a fake narrative, and they were still pushing it, V.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. They knew there's nothing there, so they kept pushing it. It's like the who farted thing. Like, somebody farts and the guy blames the other guy. Hey, man, you just farted. It's the same thing with the left. They're talking about Russia involvement. It's the Russians that have been involved with them. And more proof of this is coming out. We found out John Podesta, John Podesta got what, $160,000 from the Russians?
Yeah,
he was paid to help out with the sanctions.
Yeah, to help out with sanctions. Him and his brother. They obviously they do a lot with political. Yeah, Tony. Yeah, Tony. They do a lot with lobbying. In fact, they head up and are partners with one of the largest lobbying firms that exist. So although it wasn't directly money funneling into the DNC, it was because who do they represent? Who do they work for? The Podestas. So this money funneled from a Russian bank directly went to this. Well, basically, yeah, directly went towards the efforts to try to negotiate the sanctions against Russia. So is the MSM reporting this anywhere? Absolutely not. It's nowhere in the media, regarding this. And then I saw another news press release that was today in regards to that as a lobbyist group, that if you represent foreign organizations, that there's actually a proper procedure. You have to register as a foreign lobbyist in order to accept foreign money, and they didn't even have that on file.
Unreal, man.
Yeah, just the criminality of it's just completely insane. I mean, you're absolutely right. When you keep demanding and saying there needs to be arrest, this needs to take place, there needs to be somebody prosecuted. Hell, I don't care. Bring back public execution. Bring it. Bring it to the streets.
Public executions, man. I mean, seriously, I'd love to see a firing squad, or I would love to see these guys get hanged from the gallows.
Yeah, just insane, the things that keep popping up, and there's going to be more coming out. There's going to be a whole lot more coming out that's going to create a lot of turmoil, but it's going to be good stuff. It's going to be good things that they're going to start pulling, opening the curtains of these things that have been taking place for several years of the corruption that exists in DC.
Yeah, yep, exactly, man. And the whole thing is as well, bro. The whole thing as well as being that the American people, we are ready to see judgment. We are craving for justice. We got Donald Trump in there to end corruption. That means if there's going to be a few cracked eggs in order to make an omelet, so be it. That means if somebody has to get thrown in prison, so be it.
Absolutely. Regardless of political party, I don't care. Republican, Democrat, whatever they are, if they committed crime and they use their position illegally in DC, then they need to be prosecuted.
Absolutely, 1000%. And speaking of some MAGA numbers, bro, let's talk about Trump and what he's done in jobs, my man.
Absolutely. So everyone keeps referring this as far as the Trump effect, and you had Obama, that always would say, how is he going to do that? How is he going to bring these jobs back? He doesn't have a plan. So here it's revealed hit Trump's first full month in office that the jobs grew for new jobs in February by 298,000. And according to ADP, which was one of the largest payroll processing companies probably in the world,
it is
had this overshot their estimate by 100,000 more than they anticipated.
Is that amazing? The guy's done 300,000 jobs in a month.
Amazing.
In a month, because that's the confidence. See, you see, for a lot of in that, again, like Dex and I and you, we talked about this before. The stock market is nothing but a psychological indicator. That's all it is. It has nothing. If you're still thinking that the market has something to do with the economy, you really are off base. You need to do a little bit more research and come back and see us. But it's just a psychological indicator. So there's this incredible confidence, and people are, well, it's just fake. Well, granted, it's fake, but it's a motivational thing, man. It's a motivational catalyst for the creation of other things. If the markets are high, you're going to have people, especially companies, that are going to say, hey, well, the markets are doing great. Let me all of a sudden go ahead and expand. Let me increase my R&D budget. Let me open up a new department. Let me expand the business. Let me do this. Let me do that. To the point where they're going to be hiring new people to come in and, new employees. And that's what you see happening, man. 300,000 new jobs, first month in. Amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah. And again, you nailed it. It's the climate that's created in DC that builds the economy. If you're sitting there as a manufacturing executive, business owner, CEO, and you're looking at what happened under Obama, where they're placing all these, Obamacare. If you have more than 20 employees, if you have more than 25 employees on staff, you have to provide insurance. Looking at all these measurements that were put in place, new regulations that everyone was fearing. What are you going to do? You're exactly right. As a company, you're not going to say, I'm going to go open that new plant that I know that we need to maintain production. You're going to look internally to say, hey, you know what? And this is one of the reasons why the stock market is where it is today, that companies, in fact, utilize that money for stock buyback, started purchasing their own stocks back to help inflate that price and keep it going, because they had to put that money somewhere.
Absolutely, man. You know, this is what I'm saying. It's like the government, okay, the government, if it gets out of the way and allows an easy atmosphere for businesses to grow and to thrive and to invest, beautiful things happen. And that's what we're seeing, man, and that's what we're going to continue to see. Like, you know,
Absolutely,
Trump right
absolutely.
now, he's like schmoozing Congress, and Congress like, oh my God, you know, for the last 8 years, Obama's been giving us the cold shoulder. But Trump knows he's a charmer. He's invited them in. He has like bowling day with them. He's talking to them. Why? He's getting his agenda across. This is a mass, and people still call him, oh, he's so stupid. He's stupid. He's so dumb. People don't realize this guy's brilliant, man.
Yeah, and he finally, came to terms and had a meeting with, Elijah Cummings, the other day.
Oh, yes.
They finally had a meeting, and Elijah came out of it saying, very complimentary things that, we had
That's the guy.
levels.
That's the leader from the black congressional sellouts.
Correct. Yes.
Right, the black congressional
So,
Jewish goats, whose job is to keep the black community suppressed, whose job is to make sure that the black community in the United States is still in the democratic plantation politics. That's their job. Their job is to make sure that the black community never discovers the power of libertarianism. They never discover the power of conservatism, and any member of the black community that understands the power of individuality and enterprise, they make sure that they support the people that call them, hey, you're a sellout, you're an Uncle Tom, you're this, you're that, you're not keeping it real, blah blah blah. That Black Caucus. So what did Elijah Cummings say?
yeah, basically, he came out and said that there were some, mutual agreements in terms of, drug pricing and how that's affecting healthcare. In particular, talking about, the urban areas, of how to revamp the urban areas. He did tell Trump that, hey, listen, some of your language and because they're ultra sensitive regarding language and words, that.
Oh my God, because words hurt me.
Words hurt. So to a certain extent, I think he just asked Trump to say, hey, you know what, be the inspiration to those urban communities, and let's do. I mean, think about it this way, okay? Cummings coming into this meeting, he had no numbers or figures or anything that was in his favor of anything that Obama did anything for the black community. Black youth unemployment is off the charts.
Well, he did do
Welfare is
something for the black community. He decimated them.
Absolutely.
It's like,
so there's no word.
Dude, in New York, we have, like, in the Bronx, right? Like, in the Bronx, we have, like, Jennifer Lopez. Jennifer Lopez is out there talking about, I'm Jenny from the block, blah, 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 this, that, and the other. She's not from the Bronx. And yet, it's like she utilizes the Bronx to develop her street cred, and then she exploits it. And we hate her for it. Right? Real New Yorkers and people who really actually live in the Bronx hate her guts. Right? Because everybody in the Bronx, oh my God, Jenny, she had a rough life in the Bronx. No, she had two parents, and she lived out in freaking, I think, Pelham? I mean, give me a break, man. So same thing with Obama. I'm black, single mother. Oh, okay, cool. And then he absolutely exploited his own community. Guy's unbelievable.
Yeah, and here's the amazing thing. I got in a little bit of a spat with on social media. Someone had posted, because I'm not sure if you saw or not, where Ben Carson took some unwarranted heat for his comments in regards to referring slaves as immigrants, right? And so they're like, he's Uncle Tom and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, it's very interesting that you make that comment in regards to Ben Carson, him referring to the slaves as immigrants, in particular, because one of the first ones to do it was Obama. And they didn't even realize that. So of course, whenever I bring that out and they're like, show me the link that he said, and I did, they're like, well, what do you understand about the black community? You're not even black. So they always flip it to when they lose the conversation, they always flip it to race. When they have nothing else to stand by it, it always goes back to becoming a racial thing.
That's all it is, man. People don't have facts. They have just axioms, man. That's all it is. It's just axioms. And if they can't repeat an axiom often enough, then, it's oh, you're racist. They got to resort to name calling. Don't break the axiom. This is what happens when you're trying to strategize somebody's paradigm. It's like you're trying to kill their kid or something like that. They just like react to you. Oh, you don't understand the black plight. I'm like, I just can't, man. I just can't. I mean, I have had debates with friends. They're like, "Well, you don't understand the whole, black plague." I'm like, dude, I'm about as brown as some of y'all. What are you talking about? I grew up in a black neighborhood. I grew up in a poor working class area in New York. What are you talking about? It's the area that I was from in New York back in the day was one of the most violent areas in the whole state.
V, you
Every
just don't
day,
understand the struggle. You just don't
no,
understand the struggle.
exactly. I was the only non-black kid in the school that I went to. Okay, I grew up around Jamaican. Not just. I'm not talking about African Americans. That's one. I'm talking about Jamaicans and Haitians, bro. That's a whole nother level. Okay, that's a whole level of crazy. And I mean that in the nicest way possible. Because
Right, absolutely.
Caribbean people are wild. It's all. I love Caribbean people. I love Caribbean food. So it's just. It's all good before somebody's like, oh, he's racist. No, dude, chill, relax. It's if you're from New York, you know how Jamaicans get down. You know how Jamaicans get I'm
V, just do me a favor though. Don't go tweeting out any pictures of you eating a taco salad from Taco Bell and saying you're enjoying Mexican food.
Oh yeah, exactly. But I will, but I did tweet out pictures of jerk chicken and beef patties and oxtails. I did tweet those out. It's a beautiful thing, alongside my whole collection of bacon photographs. I do like bacon centerfolds, man, where I like take bacon and I lay it out and take pictures of it, like it's
You're making me hungry now, V. I haven't had breakfast yet.
Bro, I think that's the problem with the Middle East, man. They need more bacon in their life.
Bacon makes people happy.
It does. It's the wonders of fat. I mean, if they introduce some bacon and cut the inbreeding, the whole area would be a much better place to be. Oh man. Anyway, what's next?
I'm glad you shared this article in regards to U.S. forces teaming up with Russia and some coordinated efforts, because I saw a report and I just of course, like most Americans, I just saw the headline that said U.S. troops inserted in. And I'm like, okay, what's going on here? And yeah, so it looks like finally the U.S. forces are coming to terms in some coordinated efforts where we're seeing now where the Syrian army as well as Russian and U.S. forces are pushing out even further ISIS into some of the strongholds that they once had. So that's great to see some coordinated efforts to finally get ISIS out, and hopefully the U.S. as well.
Absolutely, man. It's like the Syrian army's Tiger forces, backed by Russian warplanes, reached the Euphrates River in the province of Aleppo, or in the name of what Gary Johnson would say, "Let's an Aleppo," liberating a large chunk of an area from ISIS, aka USIS, aka Deep State Team B. The town of Kafesh and the nearby water treatment station were the most important gains. The liberation of the Kafesh water treatment station will allow the Assad government to restore water supplies to the city of Aleppo, which has been disrupted when ISIS terrorists damaged the station. The ISIS-held Jihar military airbase will likely become the next target in the province. While the airbase has a strategic value itself, controlling the site government forces will de facto encircle the ISIS stronghold of Deir Hafar, and this will allow successfully retake this town from the terrorist group soon. Russian and U.S. military servicemen closely cooperated in the outskirts of the city of Manbij. Something I don't even know how to pronounce that, CJ. Controlled by the U.S.-backed Syrian Democratic Forces, the Times reported, according to the spokesman for the Pentagon, Jeff Davis. And both forces know about the location of each other in the area, but have no desire to enter into a conflict with someone other than the ISIS terrorists. Syrian troops and Russian military servicemen entered a number of villages in West Manbij, but the official list of these villages remain unclear. Photos show servicemen of the Russian military police near Manbij are also available online. So they're working together. They're coordinating to kick ass and take names, CJ. That's a good thing, bro.
Absolutely. It's a very good thing.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, man.
Yeah, and yesterday and I don't know if did we recognize yesterday on the air International Women's Day, V? Did we? I think you sent a tweet out.
Yes. Go ahead. Let's. We recognize all the women everywhere. Go ahead, CJ.
No. Yes, and we meant to do that yesterday. So I apologize if anyone was offended or anything like that. And we didn't get any nasty tweets or anything so thankful for that. But V, there is one woman who in particular that I'm happy that if every day that she's completely out of my life and doesn't No, I love my mother-in-law. And be now careful because she listens every morning. So
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
she knows that's not true. So no. And yesterday it was funny. I saw a tweet that came out and had a picture of our favorite female, Hillary Clinton.
Oh, she's such a joy.
And it was, I think, Dinush D'Souza is the one that tweeted out and said, she can be gone from my life every day of the year. Yeah, so it's very interesting. This, kind of funny news story in terms of, her favorability rating.
Oh, it's great. And, I mean, yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I'll let you cover it.
No, do it, man. Go finish up.
Yeah, it's just just hilarious. She comes out. She's walking in the woods. Meeting these people. All these stage photos, so completely fake. God. She comes out like she thinks this whole march and movement and the rights and everything. She comes on TV and says, I'm still here with you. I'm still representing. And the people are like, we don't want anything to do with you. We just completely, and she recently gave a speech at Wesley College, and she was asked specifically, what she would do anything differently on her 2016 campaign. And the only thing that she said was, I'd win. I mean, just
you're deluded, you power hungry snot.
Yeah, just completely to, that everything else. So interestingly enough, so when you look at, her ratings and her favorability ratings, and hopefully this comes into play, especially if she considers, even running for anything in New York, which I don't think is going to happen. I think she would look at that position being below her, but her favorability ratings continue just to go down and go down. So her ratings right at the time of the elections, she had a 55% unfavorable rating, and now it's all the way down to 35%. It's like tanking. So this woman just needs to go away. She needs to go enjoy retirement, enjoy her grandchildren, and be done with politics.
Absolutely. She needs to go away. Nobody likes her. You got to understand this. This whole Women's Day, this whole Women's March, this whole, Day Without Women's March, where that idiot two terrorists, Linda Sarsour was arrested, and this other lady who killed 2 Israeli college students, murdered them back in the day. She was arrested and probably be in the process right now being deported. All this woman stuff, you know what it is? This is a psychological warfare. This is a psyop. The psyop is to get you conditioned again to the re-entrance and the insertion by the deep state of a Hillary Clinton again for the third run for president. That's what it is. But again, it's blowing up in her face. Nobody likes you old decrepit windbag. Nobody likes you. Nobody wants you. Even the poll numbers, the people polling in New York. What do you think about Hillary Clinton? Nobody likes you. 60% of New Yorkers don't want you. You're disgusting. Just go away. Go walk in the woods, and hopefully a hunter will shoot you dead thinking you're a moose. Oh, God, I would love to see that.
Oh.
Just in, former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton was killed behind her Chappaqua home while she was walking in the woods. A hunter claimed that he thought that she was a moose. The hunter was later affirmed by law enforcement that no mooses live within the area of Chappaqua or in New York State. In other news,
I can read the headline now.
Jeez, man. With that being said, buddy, and we got the Saudi oil prices. What did they do? They purchased a U.S. refinery.
Yeah, I mean, it's just interesting to see that they're making that move, right? At this particular time. So I'm sure that amounts to, again, the confidence that they're probably going to see U.S. oil industries ramp back up after the years of it being squashed down by Obama's policy. So yeah, so they purchased the world's one of the largest refineries, and spent a pretty good chunk of change on it. But in part, it looked like it was owned by a conglomerate of different entities, and they probably were part of it, and they just recently took over the entire operation of it.
Yeah, absolutely. With that being said, my man, we have come to the end of the program. Give out your shout outs.
Yeah, absolutely. Make sure to check us back out at noon today is right, 12, hanging with Harley, which he always has, very interesting things to say. So make sure to check that out. I really think that you're going to see this healthcare reform bill squashed on the Hill. There's enough people that are coming around. I think Trump is starting to pivot more towards Rand Paul and in his bill, which makes a heck of a lot more sense. So make sure to keep your eyes on that. Hopefully, it doesn't continue to be just this huge distraction from anything getting accomplished. So that's all I have, V.
Absolutely. And with that being said, guys, you could, again, follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, and roguemoney.net. We are rolling out some new things very soon. And also, again, check out our sponsors. If you're suffering from debt, you are stressed out, you need to be relieved from all this credit card nonsense, you're making minimum payments, you want to kick these guys in the nuts, contact myfreedomnow.us, myfreedomnow.us. With that being said, I'm the Majestic Ape, and he is the master of the flux capacitor. We are over and we are out. Take it away, CJ.